Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine you have this beautiful, sprawling piece of rural land. It's got timber, wildlife, natural beauty. But maybe, just maybe, it feels like it's simply sitting there. Perhaps it's not quite living up to its full economic or even ecological potential. What if I told you there's a surprisingly straightforward way to unlock hidden value from that understory? Generating consistent income and even enhancing the land all at the same time. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the often underestimated benefits of leasing rural land specifically for hunting. Our sources reveal that this isn't just a simple transaction. It can be a savvy shortcut to smart land management and a remarkably resilient income stream. It's a fascinating look at how something seemingly traditional can actually be incredibly forward-thinking. Multifaceted, really.
It truly is. What our deep dive reveals is how a practice like leasing land for hunting can transform an otherwise sort of idle asset, turn it into a vibrant, actively managed, multifaceted strategy for landowners. We'll explore not just the obvious financial upsides, but also the ecological, community, and even practical maintenance benefits. It paints a much richer picture than you might initially expect.
So let's start where many landowners' minds go first, the bottom line, the money. Traditional agriculture, as we all know, can be a bit of a roller coaster, right? Prone to market whims, unpredictable weather. But what if there was a way to generate income that completely sidestepped those volatile cycles, almost on autopilot? Our sources suggest a path to a truly kind of set-and-forget revenue stream. How does that actually play out for landowners?
That's the real aha moment here, I think. Many see farming or timber as the primary income drivers for rural land, but our sources show how leasing for hunting establishes a remarkably steady financial baseline, season after season. It's genuinely independent of those farming or fluctuating timber markets. We're talking about predictable payments without the constant oversight or heavy upfront investment needed for, say, crops. In fact, what's particularly striking in the findings is that these returns can often exceed traditional agricultural uses on a per-acre basis.
Wow, exceed them per acre.
Yeah, think about that. A deer stand potentially out-earning a wheat field in a given year without the same level of input or risk. Even in those quieter, off-peak seasons, a well-structured hunting lease keeps the income flowing. And it doesn't necessarily disrupt your land's other potential uses. It's really about finding that resilient income stream.
That's a huge shift in perspective. Yeah. The idea that a hunting lease could actually be more profitable per acre than traditional farming and less labor intensive.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just about one season, is it? Our sources also really emphasize the power of multi-year contracts. Why are these longer-term agreements so crucial? Not just for the wallet, I mean, but for the land itself.
Right. Multi-year contracts are, well, they're the bedrock of stability here. They offer continuity, ensuring a steady, uninterrupted flow of income. That makes financial planning incredibly straightforward for the landowner. And for landowners with long-term goals, or maybe those looking to attract investors, that kind of predictability is gold.
Okay, predictability is key.
Definitely. But beyond the finances, these contracts actively promote enhanced land stewardship. Think about it. If a lessee knows they'll be hunting on your land for 3, 5, maybe even 10 years, they have a vested interest in the long-term health of that land, don't they? They're much more likely to participate in sustained wildlife management practices, maybe invest in habitat improvements, and just generally treat the land with greater care, knowing they'll reap the benefits over time. It transforms a short-term rental into a long-term partnership. It fosters mutual respect and care.
So those steady earnings aren't just good for the landowner's bank account. They actually unlock so much for the land itself. But you might be thinking, okay, isn't inviting hunters onto your property just about taking from the land?
Yeah.
Harvest, right? Our sources tell a surprising story about how the money actually fuels a greener, healthier future. How does that work in practice? What did our research reveal about the ecological benefits?
It's a fantastic point because often the perception is just extraction. But the funds from these leases aren't just going into a bank account usually. Our sources highlight how this income becomes a direct investment in the land itself. It allows for things like reforestation projects, creating vital wildlife corridors, maybe protecting crucial wetlands. It truly shapes what the research describes as a win-win ecology.
A win-win ecology. I like that.
Yeah, and the beauty is the lease agreements themselves often mandate sustainable hunting practices and limits. That ensures ecological balance. For instance, a lease might specify limits on the number or type of animals taken, or even require lessees to collect data on deer populations, which feeds directly into better management. And here's a less obvious benefit. The presence of conscientious hunters on leased land. It acts as a natural deterrent to potential poachers.
Oh, right. people who might just take indiscriminately.
Exactly. Poachers often devastate wildlife populations, so you've got legitimate hunters on the ground, effectively acting as extra sets of eyes and ears.
Yeah.
They're helping to protect what they value, which is the wildlife and the habitat.
That's a powerful synergy income, directly fueling conservation,
Yeah.
and the very presence of hunters, helping protect the wildlife from illegal activity. It's not just about letting hunters in, it sounds like it's about making them an active part of the overall management strategy. So it really does sound like controlled hunting, when done right, is actually, well, good for the ecosystem.
Absolutely. Controlled hunting, when managed properly, using scientific data and clear guidelines, plays a pivotal role. It helps sustain diverse ecosystems and maintain balanced wildlife populations. If deer populations, for instance, become too high, they can overbrowse vegetation, which impacts other species and the overall health of the forest. The funds generated through leases can be directly reinvested into habitat improvement and broader conservation efforts. That ensures the well-being of various species, not just the game animals. It's really an integral component for preserving the vitality of rural ecosystems.
It seems quite rare, doesn't it, to see economic incentives align so directly and effectively with robust environmental stewardship.
It really is. This symbiotic relationship ensures that conservation objectives are achieved while simultaneously providing revenue. It creates this kind of compounding benefit for land value and promotes comprehensive conservation efforts for generations to come.
Okay, so beyond the balance sheets and the biodiversity, there's another benefit. It's less tangible, maybe, but incredibly rich. Our sources illuminate this. Community and heritage. It's about preserving a way of life. The tradition of hunting isn't just for the solitary individual. It's often deeply woven into the cultural tapestry of many rural communities. How do these leasing arrangements specifically help sustain that heritage?
It absolutely does. Think of it this way. These leases aren't just about money changing hands. They're like a living bridge to the past, keeping those time-honored rural customs alive and kicking. Our sources highlight how leasing encourages youth involvement in outdoor traditions. Instilling hunting ethics and responsible wildlife management from a young age. It actively preserves rural heritage through continued practice, passing down knowledge and skills from generation to generation.
Right, keeping those traditions alive.
Exactly. And beyond that, it stimulates local economies by attracting hunting-related tourism. Think about the impact on local businesses, the gas stations, the diners, the gear shops, even the local grocery stores. They all benefit from visiting hunters. And crucially, it enhances community bonds via shared experiences. Whether it's the camaraderie of a hunting camp or just shared stories around a campfire, these engagements are truly the threads that maintain the fabric of rural culture. And by leasing their land, landowners become, in a way, custodians of a legacy that defines the community.
That makes so much sense. It's about passing down knowledge and values, using the land as a gathering place, not just a resource to be extracted from. And those relationships you mentioned earlier, they become even more important here, don't they? It's about finding the right people. How do landowners really foster those deep, enduring relationships with lessees, going beyond just the legal contract?
You've hit on a critical point there. Leasing rural land involves more than just monetary transactions. It really fosters enduring relationships, especially with those who genuinely value conservation. By carefully selecting lessees, maybe through interviews, references, or even just word of mouth within hunting communities, landowners invite collaboration with individuals who understand and share what our sources call the profundity of stewardship.
The profundity of stewardship. I like that phrase.
It captures it well, I think. These alliances can transcend mere monetary agreements. They often evolve into real partnerships that cultivate a sustainable and respectful hunting culture. We've seen examples in our research where a lessee who's passionate about the land might volunteer to help with a prescribed burn, or maybe suggest and even help implement a new wildlife food plot. These conscientious hunters become advocates for the property. They often go beyond their explicit duties to maintain and improve the land.
So we can be on partners.
Absolutely. These collaborations can even introduce innovative practices that benefit both the land and the community. It promotes a future where economic, ecological, and cultural values align harmoniously. It's almost like the landowner is deputizing a new generation of stewards, ensuring that legacy lives on.
We've covered the big wins: income, healthier land, stronger communities, impressive stuff. But our sources also unearthed a truly practical day-to-day benefit, something that can save landowners a significant headache and some serious cash. Let's talk about minimizing property upkeep costs. For landowners with vast rural properties, maintenance can be a huge constant burden. How do lessees help mitigate those costs?
Oh, it's a game changer for many rural landowners, honestly. Lessees essentially become your proactive eyes and ears on the ground. They serve as a first line of defense against all sorts of issues. They monitor for pests and diseases, for example, which significantly contributes to the preservation and health of diverse ecosystems. Their vigilant presence helps prevent overhunting and wildlife scarcity, and as we mentioned, acts as a strong deterrent for potential poachers.
Okay, so they're watching out for problems.
Right. And think about practical things like access roads. Lessees often perform necessary upkeep, maybe repairing washed-out sections after heavy rains. That improves overall infrastructural integrity and accessibility for everyone. They also maintain structures like hunting blinds and feeding stations, ensuring they are safe and in good working order. Our sources even note they act as inadvertent surveyors.
Inadvertent surveyors. How so?
By reporting things like illegal dumping or environmental hazards they might stumble across, things the landowner might not see for weeks or months, which could otherwise lead to costly cleanups and maybe even legal liability. One landowner in Colorado, for instance, recounted how much they saved when a hunting lessee proactively reported a fallen fence line, and then even helped repair it after a winter storm. That prevented livestock loss and saved hundreds in immediate repair costs.
Wow, that's direct savings.
Definitely. And crucially, their role in vegetation control by managing underbrush and forest density directly assists in reducing wildfire risk, which is, of course, a paramount concern for rural land, especially in drier regions.
So it's like having a dedicated invested crew constantly on your property just by virtue of the lease agreement. That sounds like it would also significantly reduce the need for expensive security measures beyond just maintenance. You're effectively getting free security, in a way.
You're absolutely right. Rural landowners often face substantial costs in monitoring and safeguarding their expansive properties. It can feel like an endless battle against trespassers or vandals. But by leasing out land for hunting, the consistent presence and vigilance provided by tenants dramatically mitigate these financial burdens. Leased hunting rights create a natural surveillance presence. Their activity deters unauthorized access and potential vandalism simply by having people actively using the property.
Just their presence makes a difference.
Exactly. Hunters effectively serve as de facto guardians. Their regular patrols dissuade trespassers and reduce instances of theft or damage. This active monitoring by responsible tenants can significantly diminish the need for costly private security services or, elaborate surveillance systems. And because these stewards of the land have a vested interest in its well-being, they are much more likely to report suspicious activities immediately. Think of the peace of mind, let alone the financial savings, that comes from having active, invested partners helping to maintain and secure your property. It truly streamlines a landowner's budget for surveillance and security measures.
So what does all of this mean when we put it together? We've seen that leasing rural land for hunting goes far, far beyond just a simple transaction. It's a powerful and, frankly, surprisingly multifaceted strategy for unlocking income, sure, but also enhancing ecological health, preserving cultural heritage, and even significantly reducing property upkeep burdens. It truly transforms what might seem like idle land into a vibrant, active asset, not just financially, but for the entire ecosystem and the surrounding community.
Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture, this approach really encourages a holistic view of land ownership, where economic viability, robust environmental stewardship, and deep community engagement are not just compatible, they're deeply intertwined. It's about leveraging a natural resource in a way that generates multiple layers of value. It fosters a kind of symbiosis that aligns with the ethos of rural life, and it entrusts the land to those who will honor its traditions and ecological integrity.
And that leads us to our final thought for you to consider. If you have rural land that's currently feeling a bit like a sleeping giant, sitting there,
Yeah.
how might shifting your perspective, seeing it as a vibrant, multi-purpose asset, stewarded by engaged partners, change things? Not only your bottom line, perhaps, but also the legacy you build for your land for generations to come. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.